Hello and welcome to my show, The Awakening, here on WGSN-DB, the Going Bold and Going Solo Network. And I lost my notes. Okay, so the information and opinions expressed on this show are just that, the opinions of the individual speaking based on their individual personal experience. They are not intended to diagnose and do not constitute professional advice or recommendations. So you know that pain, the stress, the struggle that divorcing men and women go through? Well, there is a way to find peace, keep your sanity, and assist your lawyer in the legal process. This saves you thousands of dollars through the process. My name's Tina Huggins. I'm your divorce coach specialist, divorce consultant, restorative family mediator, conflictual co-parenting coach, and I want to thank you for joining us. And today I'm graced with a very special friend of mine, Terry Thompson. Terry is a holistic health coach, wellness educator, and founder of Blue Jeans and Berries, where she helps busy families and professionals simplify healthy living with whole foods, functional nutrition, and natural solutions. With over 14 years in the wellness industry, Terry blends real-life experiences, science-backed guidance, and a touch of humor to people so they thrive in their healthy journeys. So welcome and thank you for being here, Terry. Got lost in my words.
That's okay, Tina. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, awesome, awesome. Yeah, Terry and I are on a networking group together, NRG, and we've just enjoyed each other's company, or at least I enjoy her. We'll tell you my side of the story. She's just such a sweet person, and she has a wealth of knowledge, and that's why I've invited her on the show today. You know, we're gonna just kind of talk about the stress that we go through. I just mentioned, the stress and the overwhelm and just the yucky that we go through when we start to go through the stress. And to kind of put this in place for me, I lost my husband almost a year ago. And in the course of losing my husband, of course, I've gone through stress. I mean, not just that, but I've done a state to state move and lived in a camper until I found my house. So I've had all that stress. But I can truly, honestly tell you that this stress is way different than the stress that I went through when I went through my divorce. My divorce was so full of conflict and blame and just horrible aspects of that. And I know from my husband's death, I've lost like 20 pounds. It was 20 pounds I needed to lose, but not a way I would suggest anybody go about losing weight. And I've gone through so much different forms of stress, but that stress that I went through in my divorce was just unthinkably difficult. So how when somebody comes to you, Terry, and they're dealing with this much stress, what is your direction? Where do you start?
We start with small habits first off, because when somebody is already under a lot of stress, the last thing I want to do is add more stress to them, or even make them feel guilty about where they're at with their health or where their habits are today. So it's really focusing on how can we make sure that we are going to nourish the body to combat that stress, to help bring our cortisol levels down. How are we going to keep up with a good sleep routine? People often overlook the need for sleep. And so sometimes it's not just about what are we eating? It's not just about our daily habits. What are we eating? Are we exercising enough and all of that? Are we getting enough rest? Are we getting enough sleep? And what is keeping us up at night? And how can we counteract that? What kind of relaxation techniques can we bring in? What kind of habits can we bring in before bedtime to help induce restful sleep? Because if you're not getting that solid restful sleep every night and you're already in this fight or flight mode because of stress, your body is not able to deal with that stress, and it's going to start impacting your health. So sleep first. I would have to say that is something that I'm going to look at as a priority for anybody that's under a lot of stress. And for myself in the past, I know that when I was under a lot of stress and when I wasn't taking care of my sleep, that is when my health really got at its worst point. That's where things just got out of control and couldn't control the weight, couldn't control the aches and pains, couldn't control the migraines and all the stuff that goes along with stress. So let's first address the sleep. It sounds so simple, and it's really not, because there's things that keep people awake at night. And when you are stressed like that, getting that peaceful sleep can be very difficult. So looking for ways to help induce that sleep through what we put into our body before we sleep, what we do with our body, and even lighting, putting the phone down, maybe taking a bath with some magnesium salts, adding magnesium to our diet, things that can help promote relaxation at night. But I think sleep is going to take precedence over what you're eating when it comes to that. When it comes to somebody that is highly stressed, let's look at sleep first, and then let's look at our other habits.
Yeah,
Holistically, you have to look at the whole picture, Tina. You can't just look at the sleep. We can't just look at what we're eating. That does play a huge role in how we react and how we can control our emotions. If we're eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of chemical laden foods, our bodies are going to be combating that, and we can't deal with the stresses easily. So it's a combination of really a combination of things. But look at sleep patterns first.
yeah, and I've had dances with this one since my husband died because I've had obviously time frames early on a year ago where I was um sleeping. I would stay in bed and just sleep in the mornings. I didn't get up. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to start my day. And so then I forced an issue to start working out. And then I get moved over here. And then I've had to balance this part out where, like I have early morning meetings that I have to be in front of the computer at 8 a.m. And that doesn't seem early for a lot of people, but I'm usually up at 4:30. And so I get up and I have an hour of meditation and prayer time, whatever that looks like for me that day. And then I have an hour of workout. And then I have an hour of prep to get in front of the computer where I drink my tea. And during the week, it's green tea. I'm pretty careful about what I am better now about what I'm putting in my body. But on these mornings, Tuesday and Wednesday, when I have early, it's like, okay, you either meditate or you work out because you need that extra time frame to sleep. So, because otherwise I'd be up even an hour earlier to get all of that put in there. And I let my body wake up at a natural rhythm, so I don't set an alarm. And so at 4:30-ish, between 4:30 and 5 is my natural time to wake up. If I stay in bed past that, then I have another sleep time and have to wait until the next wake up time for my body. So I kind of do that.
Exactly. That's why they tell you not to use that snooze button on your alarm or the snooze on your phone, because you're just getting back to sleep and it gets disrupted, and you're never fully back awake from this sleep cycle that your body tried to go back into. Now, if you're waking up naturally around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm assuming you're probably going to bed by about 9 o'clock.
8:39, yes.
Okay. And that's good. And then your body is waking up because you're getting that 7 to 8 hours that your body needs. Now, if you were staying up till midnight and getting up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning, then we need to talk, because that does not help your cortisol levels at all. That does not help your stress levels, and that does not help your body repair itself. So you're going to start falling apart inside. Your body needs that restorative sleep for your cells to regenerate and repair.
Mm-hmm.
And when you rob your body of that, you're not getting that restorative sleep to your cells aren't regenerating properly, and things start going haywire. We start to see illness. We start to see autoimmune issues. We start to see weight issues. We start to see emotional, mental issues. Uh,
And I get that. I've played havoc with that, because, and this is a thing that's been bad since my husband died. I have a television that's in my room and I couldn't be without sound. In the beginning, it was on 24/7 because I didn't want to hear my thoughts in my head. I didn't
yeah.
want to hear any booms and bangs in my house and have me freak out. But I would wake up early on, and then sometimes I'm still doing that. I wake up and then I'm awake for either an hour or even 2 hours in the middle of the night. And when that happens, I let myself sleep in the net, because to me,
Right.
working out then is less important than the amount of sleep that I have to have.
That's true too. And then I get the needing that noise to go to sleep, because when I'm by myself, I like to put the TV on and I turn it really low. I
Mhm.
put on something that I've seen over and over and over again. And for me, it's LA Law because I've seen all those murder mystery shows. Turn the volume on low and I set the timer on the TV. And it's just enough that I can go to sleep, but then it doesn't wake me up later. Because I find that if I leave that TV on all night, at some point I will, even if the volume is low, it could be the light flickering, it could be something else that's disturbing my sleep. So use the timer function. Don't watch something that is going to keep you awake. Watch something that I've seen that before. All that I know how it ends, and turn the volume low, or use music, or use a sound, use a sound machine or sound function on your phone.
Mhm. And I've
During
done
the
a little bit of that too. I watch documentaries at night, so that's there, or something that I've watched a bunch of times, but I don't, because I like murder mystery kind of TV, that I don't watch that stuff at night, because then I'm activated in my thoughts about what's
Oh
happening
yeah,
there. And so if it's a boring conversation, then I'm really good. And I don't have a sleep function on my TV, but that I do on Netflix. So Netflix will only play for so long and then it'll shut down. And then when I naturally wake up to go to the bathroom, and then I just shut the TV off then, and then
yeah,
I'm actually fine.
yeah. Because a lot of TVs today have a sleep timer on them,
Mhm.
and and I love that. To me that works beautifully. But yeah, you need that restful sleep, and you don't need it disturbed by TV or other weird noises. And I know when because you lost your husband, because he passed away,
Mhm.
you're thrown into a world where the sounds, you need the noise background, and I get that. And that's where, putting a radio on. I guess I'm old when I say radio. I don't know. I have I have a device on my over on my credenza there that I actually have an iPod sitting in it, and I can stream music on it. So I'll put music on there in the background, or I'll turn the TV on to Pandora and just let the music play in the background. For me, that gives you the noise. You're not hearing all the creaks and cracks and moans of the house. You're not hearing strange noises. You feel like you've got company there. You you've got to have. I get that. Being alone a lot. I like to have noise in the house. And other than that, get a couple dogs. The dogs.
I got one. That's all I really need to have. It's an awesome part of my life. It's just, lately I haven't left the house, and she's like, Mom, I'm tired of sitting in the house. Those are things, you talk about all the sleep, and my exercise has been also very important for my brain function,
Yes.
because one of the things since my husband died, and I can go back to this with my divorce as well, that you're under stress, your brain does not function well. And that's what I help my clients with, is pulling that down so that we can get the brain function better. And we often talk about self-care and what they're doing for that self-care, the warm bubble baths, and sometimes it's a glass of wine. And like I tell people, it's not about the alcohol in the wine for me, it's about the wine glass. It's
Mhm.
about holding that wine glass and sipping slowly. It just kind of relaxes me. And it's the same way with a cup of tea. It's got to be warm cup of tea so I can put both hands on it. And it's
Yeah.
just about the smell and the heat, And that just helps me relax. And I can have caffeine in it at night. It doesn't matter. It's that tea that helps me relax.
It's the comfort, it's the comfort, it's the smell, it's the warmth, and it's the not the habit, but just the ritual of it. The whole
Mhm.
ritual of it is very relaxing. And it's like that with the wine too. One of my self-care things that I love to do, and I haven't done it for a few weeks because I've been kind of busy. I like to take a bath with a glass of wine and Netflix on my iPad and a candle. It's I turn the lights out, I get in the bathtub, I throw a bath bomb in there, maybe some magnesium flakes in there, and pour myself a glass of wine. And it's just the whole. It may take me an hour to drink that glass of wine and wait, because I'm in that tub till the water cools off.
Right, right. Me
It's
too.
it, it's an indulgence, but it's really not. That's a way that we de-stress, and we have to give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves, to invest in self-care, whether it's that time to sit in the bathtub or whether it's that time to take the book and sit outside in the sunshine for a little bit. We need to give ourselves permission to do that. We live in such a busy, fast-paced world, and it's go, go, go. Let's get this done, get this done, get this done. We feel guilty sometimes if we feel like we're doing something unproductive.
Right.
Unproductive. It's not that it's unproductive, it's taking care of yourself. And you need to do that, and you need to do that regularly, not just once in a while. You need to do it regularly. It helps to bring the stress down, helps to keep your cortisol levels under control, and it helps your health. I mean, it's all part of taking care of yourself.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I've done since I moved to Arkansas. At first, I was living 30 miles away in my camper. So I wasn't really close to, because my son lives here, and I wasn't really close to the people that I was hanging with. And so I would pay attention to the planets. And when there was a low energy day, I would make myself leave and come into town. And they're managers of the tavern here, the local tavern. And so they have great chicken wings and stuff like that. So I craved chicken since he died. And so I would eat chicken wings. My problem is that, and this is no exaggeration, since he died in the last 11 months, I have drank more alcohol than I have in my whole entire life before this, all put together. And so that, because I have alcoholism in my family, has really bothered me. So these last 2 weeks, I've been able to pretty much get rid of that aspect. So that makes me feel better because, we're talking about things that are good for you. Having a drink of wine is okay, but when you start
Yes.
drinking too much, your body can't relax properly. It
Right.
goes into a fake relaxing, fake sleep, and you don't get rest while you're actually sleeping.
Right. You don't. It's very disruptive to your sleep. And it's not uncommon when you've had such a thing happen in your life where your life has just turned upside down overnight. It Sometimes we turn to that glass of wine because it is comforting. And the second glass is the numbing. And it is a habit that we have to worry about. You have to worry about it. And I'm glad you recognized that, though. You recognized it and said, the last 11 months, I think I've overdone it. So what can I do to dial it back down? And recognizing that and making those healthy swaps, having the sparkling water and putting some berries or something in it to make it special, instead of a cocktail, having some nice tea in the evening instead of that glass of wine. There's things that we can have that are healthier, that are still going to bring us comfort without numbing us. I mean, part of the thing with alcohol is it changes the way we think as well.
Mhm.
And that's not what we need to do, especially when we're going through any type of stress in our life. Numbing that stress is not going to make it go away. It just magnifies it later. So we
Mhm.
really need to, we need to be sober for it. And that's, like I said, your herbal teas, your sparkling waters. You can have some fun drinks without having alcohol in them. Um, That's
And because I'm originally from Colorado, so it's much cooler, and then we move out here, so the body tends to overheat and sweat and gets rid of electrolytes, and so I drink a lot of water with electrolytes in it, and that that has helped cramping in my feet and calves a lot.
yeah.
Um, and I read, and you can kind of touch base on this talking about water, but I've read how the fizzy water has a really important aspect to it, the hydrogens necessary for the body. And those are things that Western medicine never, ever points a finger to.
Never do they do that. And when you talk about fizzy waters, you got to be careful because there's a lot you could buy fizzy waters that have a lot of sugars or artificial sweeteners in them. Those are things we stay away from. I have a soda stream. I make my own fizzy water. It's I just use filtered water and their canister, and I fizz up the water, and then I can flavor it with fruit or with little drops. Sometimes I'll use essential oil drops, or sometimes I'll use a flavored drop. But you don't, it has none of the doesn't have the sugar, it doesn't have the artificial sweeteners. But it's beneficial and it's very hydrating. It's very hydrating. And I'm getting minerals that I may not necessarily be getting if I'm just drinking plain tap water
Mhm.
or bottled water. I don't do bottled water, but
Yeah, since I was
that's a whole nother thing we can get into with the microplastics
yeah,
and such. But
microplastic. That's a
yeah.
big deal right now, is microplastics. And that, as a kid, I have drank Perrier and tea. I've always been one of those different kids where I drink Perrier, go out and order Perrier as opposed to soda or something to that effect. And then I've always drank tea. And then one of the things I love to do when I get to a hotel room, it's just before I go to bed, is heat me up a cup of tea, and it's just part of the relaxation of being in the hotel away from all the work of home, and let it go and just totally relax. And I don't need alcohol for that kind of stuff.
No, you don't. So you wouldn't need it at home either. I I was traveling recently and I actually brought some loose tea with me and a tea ball of some evening teas that I like because in the evening I try to avoid the caffeine teas in the evening. And I like different types of teas in the evening. I might like something that has more cinnamons and warmer notes to it that I might not drink during the daytime, or sometimes like a chocolate mint or something that gives me that dessert feel. There's some good tea out there. But I travel with it just so I could do that. When I'm traveling in the hotel room, I can have that evening cup of tea and don't need to go down to the bar for a glass of wine. I'll have no problem falling asleep. Um, but yeah, sleep, tea, Hydration's important. When you mentioned your, leg cramps, foot cramps, that was a sign of dehydration. So
Mhm.
increasing your hydration, and adding the electrolytes is why those cramps went away because you're now getting properly hydrated.
Yeah. And I like last Saturday, I normally drink like, almost a full gallon of water a day. I'm about, at least three quarters. And last Saturday, I drank one big glass, if I drank that much, and then I drank some black tea, maybe 2 or 3 cups for the whole day. And long about 2 o'clock, my bladder decided it wanted to pretend it had a bladder infection. And it was all because I normally keep hydrated, and now I'm not able to do that because I didn't. It was a Saturday. I'm out of my realm. And so my body has been very telltale to me. It tattles on me all the time. Like this, we're talking about stress, so we'll kind of just alter this into to my aspects recently. And since my divorce, which happened 22 years ago, I am allergic to stress. So when I am underneath a specific type of stress that I don't even know that I'm stressed, but it messes with my nervous system and I break out. I break out in hives and or blisters and or oh shoot, I lost the other term. Hives, blisters, a rash. I break out in one of those, and then I will have lesions that will come on the skin, like little tiny lesions, and they will ooze. They'll be part of the blister aspect, but there'll be no blister. It's like what happens after a blister dissipates. And it's all because of stress. So I have to make sure that I am taking an adrenal support all the time. And then if I've allowed this stress to creep in that I don't notice, I have to dose up on my adrenal support.
Mhm.
So that's something that I've had to deal with.
And stress, you'll see stress in your skin very quickly for a lot of people, especially women. You'll see breakouts and things like that, because your body is, when you're under stress, you're not processing the toxins in your body properly. You're not moving them properly. But your skin is the largest organ that you can detox through. So these are toxins that are coming out of your body. They're just not coming out effectively because your body is under stress and you're not nourishing it properly. You're not giving it everything it needs to deal with that stress. So you got to stay hydrated. You got to get the sleep. Movement is critical for dealing with stress, and 30 minutes a minimum a day. When you're highly stressed, I recommend getting that movement outdoors as often as possible, because just getting out in the fresh air can elevate your moods. And then it is what we eat. Are we eating to fuel our brain for health, or are we eating just because it makes us happy and it tastes good? Okay. When we are under stress, we tend to grab things that are comfort to us. So we may be eating things that are more comfort foods instead of looking at them at how they're nourishing our body. And if we can make some switches along with that, I understand. Okay, the hamburger and French fries are going to taste really good. It's going to make me feel good about myself. But if I'm not giving myself the omegas and the other things I need for my brain health, salmon, walnuts, avocados, eggs, things that are going to actually nourish our brain so that our brain can function better, we're just adding to that burden on our body. And it makes it harder to deal with this stress. We can deal with it easier if we are feeding our body foods that are going to support our function, support our brain function, and everything else. If we're eating a lot of sugar, not good. If we're eating a lot of processed foods, not good. If it comes in a box with a barcode on it, it probably shouldn't be. You should not consider that your daily diet. You should consider that, we'll eat that once in a while. But look at the simple foods, the lean proteins, plenty of foods that are high in omega-3, salmon being one of them, wild caught salmon, eating that a couple of times a week, having just a handful of walnuts as a snack, great brain booster, eggs, great for the brain, spinach. These are the kinds of foods that are going to help nourish your brain, where the foods that we tend to lean towards under times of stress, and I'm guilty, okay? I'm guilty of this myself. I'm stressed. I don't feel like cooking. I don't even want to think about eating. Gosh, I want to go get tacos. That's human nature. But if we can slow down for a minute and realize that, okay, well, maybe that drive-through isn't going to be the best for us. Maybe it would be better if I picked up some salmon and threw it on the grill and and had a salad with it, or something more healthy. But we need to really think about what's going to nourish our brain during these times when we're stressed, and enjoy the avocados, enjoy some nuts, some walnuts, particularly because they're high in omega-3s. Getting salmon in your diet, getting that extra omega in to help combat what your brain is going through and what your body is going through. And
Yeah.
looking at it not as a punishment, eating healthy is not a punishment, number one. Eating healthy it doesn't have to be a punishment. It can be very enjoyable. It can be very simple. It does not have to be complicated at all if you keep it simple and keep
Yeah.
it close to nature. And that's,
And that was a point, after my husband died. Of course, he did a lot of the cooking. I mean, we
Mhm.
shared cooking, but he did a lot of it, and he was very good at it. And it was generally way healthier food, although he plated enough for an army and expected me to eat it, and that was why I gained so much weight. But the reality was is after he died, there was no reason to cook because there was nobody there going to eat it, and my cooking didn't want to taste good to me. So I would go out early on when I was in Arkansas. I would go out and um, get something. Hopefully, it was good from Walmart. I would go and get a chicken pieces or whatever from Walmart, and or I would go out and eat. And I tried to eat grilled chicken as opposed to fried chicken, but that's all I craved for the longest time.
Mhm.
Now I moved here to South Carolina, and my diet was kind of haphazard if it was at all. And then it was cheese, and that was probably the healthier one of the day with Pringles and, those types of things. So finally, it was just so expensive for me to go buy food because a lot of it would go bad. So I started ordering the meals prepped for me from Home Chef.
Oh,
And
nice.
I can cook a healthy meal. It's already there. And I actually have saved over, I don't know, it's close to $400 now in a month.
Yeah. It's those meal, I go on and off with like, I've done a couple of different meal kits where they send you everything and you just prep it. It's super
Yeah.
easy to do. They have a lot of variety where you can pick, I was able to pick the healthier meals and
Mhm.
really cuts down on the waste, the prep and all of that. And I love that you're doing the ones that they're already done for you pretty much. You're just cooking them, right? They're
Prepping them and then I'm actually cooking them. And so you mentioned hamburger earlier, hamburgers and French fries. Well, when they do the French fries, they're in the oven and you use olive oil and salt
Yep.
and pepper, and you put them in the
Yep.
oven and you do them like that. So it's way healthier than
Mhm.
deep fat fried. And you can cook them as long and get them as crispy as you want. And the hamburger and to make the hamburger a healthier burger, they put a coleslaw on it as opposed to just a leaf of lettuce. So now
Yeah.
you've got something healthier, and you can change that to
Mhm.
be chicken if you want.
Yeah.
And so it's been I've enjoyed cooking. Of course, I have a
Yeah.
friend that'll come over and we'll eat together. That gives me company, somebody to
Yeah.
eat, somebody to cook for. And
Yeah.
so that's been helpful for me to have them come over and be a part of my life for that moment in time at dinner time. So some of the stuff, you were talking about all the omegas when I was working and going through, because I actually had and was going through to get my doctorate and natural doctor. And so one of the things that we talked early on in school was like you talk about walnuts, they look like a brain. And so they said things that, look like brains, leaves that have all of the veins in it are like the veins in a
Mhm.
brain. So they said if you look at nature, you can see that this is going to be good for this and this is going to be good for that.
Nature has provided for us. And what's happened over the last 70 plus years through the food evolution is we've taken what nature has given us and tried to recreate it to make it more appealing, to save money, to make it last longer, all of these reasons to make it more convenient. I remember back in the 70s when women were, you can have the frying pan and the bacon and, could fry it up in the pan and still go to work and all that good stuff. They started coming out with convenient foods. And this is where we started to see this decline, and it's gotten the more we've leaned into processed foods, the worse our health has gotten in the United States. I mean, that is just a fact. And when you look at it, it's because what we are eating today is not real food for the most part. As I said earlier, if it's coming from a box with a barcode, that's not provided by nature. That was made in a factory somewhere. That is food that has been so adulterated, your body does not recognize it as food. Yes, you'll get calories from it. Yes, you can gain weight from it or lose weight from it, but it's not nourishing your body. It's not giving your cells what they need to thrive. And if we want to live with vitality and with energy and without illness, and we want to live a long, healthy life, we have to take a look at all aspects of our health. Are we managing our stress? Are we feeding our body properly? Are we getting enough sleep? But feeding our body is critical. It's foundational. It really is. And nature gave it all to us. We have everything in nature that we need. We don't
Hmm.
need we don't need factories making boxes of cookies and chips and things that noodle bowls that you just pour water on and eat. I mean, hello, how many college kids survive on top ramen and that kind of
Right.
thing?
It's like top ramen's the thing. So one of the things that I wanted to touch, on is way back, we had bread. We ate white bread back then, and there was never a gluten problem. Now I did have an uncle way back. He had celiac disease, and for those of you who think you might have celiacs can kill you. I mean, you eat a little bit of it and it can kill you. So celiacs is not the same as gluten intolerance. So just that's a huge thing I learned years and years ago. But what happened, and we're talking about what you're saying, is that they came in and changed everything. Well, our grains that we made our bread they were created by God. They were created perfect. And we, man, decided that we were going to pull the unnecessary part out of that grain seed. Well, we took the part that helped us digest the gluten out of that grain seed. That's why we're seeing so much more gluten intolerance now than we've ever seen before.
Goes beyond that, Tina. It goes beyond that. Okay, we've genetically modified the wheat to grow shorter. We spray it with I can never say that word, glyphosate. That stuff they're not supposed to spray, but they spray it on there to dry the wheat out before they harvest it. The reason they modified it to make it shorter and the reason they spray it to dry it off is to make it faster and easier to harvest and not gum up the harvesting machines. They don't have to stop during harvest to clean the machines. It makes it easier and faster to harvest. This is not the wheat our great grandparents grew up on.
Nope.
This is why we're seeing so much gluten intolerance and an increase in celiac disease. Now, celiac disease is an autoimmune response. It's an autoimmune issue. And if you are truly celiac, cross-contamination alone can make you very ill. And it makes you ill for days or weeks at a time. And it can kill you too. It is severe. Think of an anaphylactic reaction to something. That's almost how bad it is with somebody that has been glutened, that is celiac. Most of us here in America are gluten intolerant these days. We don't process the gluten properly. We don't digest it properly, and it's not gluten's fault. It's the modifications that we made to our grain supply. And
Mhm.
these modifications were all made to save money,
Right.
to
Save
be able to
money.
sell more
Uh,
grain. And yep.
yeah. Or, if you believe in the strange whispers in the background to make us
The,
die sooner.
you can go through the conspiracy theories and all of that. And maybe some of it, who knows? I'm not going to shoot down people that have this conspiracy theories because there could be some truth to some of that. But what we do know is that decisions are made based on business profits, not
Hmm.
on people's health.
Amen.
And
Amen.
that's really bottom line. It's up to us to take responsibility for our health and to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to put that in my body. It doesn't. I stopped drinking soda and diet soda, especially 15 years ago. I won't even, I don't have no desire for it. None. I know what it can do to my body. I don't need it.
Yep.
We have to start saying no. That's all there is to it.
So as we're starting to come to a close here, Terry, I know all of your contact information will be below
Okay.
here, but and we look at your email is right
My
here.
email's right there.
How can people, other than your email right here, where can they find you to find out more about you?
Thank you, Tina. You can go to bluejeansandberries.com. That's my website. You can book time with me. I give a free 30-minute consultation to anyone who has questions or just wants to explore some options, or just wants to chat about their health and wants to know if they're on the right track or not. So you can reach out to me at, like I said, bluejeansandberries.com. You can email me, Terry@bluejeansandberries.com. You could even text me. I'm going to be so brave and give my text number out. I don't know it by heart. I have to look at it because I got it written down. Isn't that funny? It's 501-273-1913. So you can text me at 501-273-1913. Reach out to me by email, visit my website. You can book an appointment right on my website. Like I said, 30-minute consult, absolutely free.
Awesome. And it's worth it. Terry's got a wealth of knowledge.
Thank
So
you.
I'm a certified divorce coach, meaning that I'm trained in the complexities of divorce. I've also been through a very difficult marriage, my divorce. My father was almost murdered, and my late husband was pretty much so tortured in his marriage. So not only do I understand divorce from the training aspect, I understand the stress and the complexities that go with getting the divorce. So you can reach me through my email at coachtinalyn@gmail.com. That's COACHTINALYNN@gmail.com. You can also reach me or check me out on my website at divorcecoachspecialist.com. My social media, Facebook under Tina Lynn Huggins, that's HUGGINS. LinkedIn under Tina Huggins. Instagram, Divorce Coach Tina Lynn. TikTok, Divorce Tina. So as we come to the end, Terry, can you please give some advice that can help our viewers?
Yes. I'm going to say, first off, don't overstress things. Don't overthink things. Keep it simple. One step at a time. You do not have to come in and overhaul your health in one night or one day. It doesn't happen that way. Focus on the easy fixes first. Focus on making sure you're getting the rest, making sure you're getting some movement into your day, and then start looking at your other habits that you could start changing. But you don't have to do it all at one time. It can be done in small increments. Build habits that will last and sustain you, and you'll start to see changes in your health over time. It doesn't have to be done overnight. You didn't get where you are today overnight. So give yourself grace and allow yourself time and your body time to heal and get to a healthier status. Give yourself time, give yourself grace.
And so in just supporting what she said, because I've been through this just most recent through my husband's death, when it was time for me to start my push-ups and sit-ups and my workout all over again, I literally start with five jumping jacks, 5 push-ups, 5, and then I worked up to the 50. And I did that over a course of weeks so that one, it was good for my brain to think, okay, where am I at? But I didn't, just like Terry says, I didn't have to do it overnight. And it's been a process over the last few weeks, about a month, where not that I quit alcohol cold turkey because I'm an alcoholic, although I was concerned because alcohol is in my family. I didn't need it. So it was something simple, but I can tell you that coming off of that and dealing with AA is sometimes it's not one day at a time, it's one moment at a time as you start moving forward in this. So just like Terry says, be gentle. And I can tell you what you've seen of Terry today is just a smidgen of her intelligence and her ability to work with you. She's just got the heart of gold. And so I invite you to please make contact with Terry and get yourself headed in the right direction. So thank you very much, Terry, for being with us today.
Thank you, Tina. It's been my pleasure. It's been a wonderful conversation, and time just has flown right by.
It does. It does. And so I always tell my viewers this, many people, including myself, get to a point in our divorce where suicide is a thought that we have. And we don't want you to go there. You need to have the support that you need. I'm here and there's other people. If I'm not the right one, we'll find you the right one. But if you are dealing with suicidal thoughts, then please call the suicide prevention hotline at 988. In the Netherlands, it's 113. Get the support that you need so that you have somebody that can talk you through this moment right here, right now. If you are dealing with something that you need the police there for right now, here in the US, call 911. In the UK, it's 999. In the Netherlands, it's 112. Get the police there. At this point, press charges on the other individual. Do not drop those charges. This is your key out of a domestic violence situation. Most cases, you drop those charges. What comes after the charges gets dropped is oftentimes worse than what happened before the charges were placed in. This is your key out. Don't drop the charges. So if you are dealing with domestic violence or you know somebody, the domestic violence hotline is 800-799-7233. That number again is 800-799-7233. I ask that you please like, comment, and share this information so that it can help others. And once again, Terry, thank you so much for being my guest here.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for the invite. It was my pleasure.
Great.